met this old man, he was so poor, didn't hold a bed, so he slept on the floor. He's always smiling, never heard him complain. He said that proof it got again and again. So no matter what the circumstances may be, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the sunshine or through the rain, through the pleasure or through the pain, God is always there for me. No matter what the circumstances may be, yeah, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the good times or through the bad, through the happy times or through the sad, God is always there for me. The landlord weighs the rent, school fees due, partner to our bones, and the youth them needs you. Friends all ask me what I'm gonna do. I smile and tell them that God will see me through. No matter what the circumstances may be, yeah, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the sunshine or through the rain, through the pleasure or through the pain, God is always there for me. So no matter what the circumstances may be, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the good times or through the bad, through the happy times or through the sad, God is always there for me. I met this old man, he was so poor, he didn't hold a bed, so he slept on the floor. He's always smiling, I never heard him complain. He said I've proven that again and again. So no matter what the circumstances may be, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the sunshine or through the rain, through the pleasure or through the pain, God is always there for me. No matter what the circumstances may be, no, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the good times or through the bad, through the happy times or through the to separate me from you. Love my Jesus, nothing will be able to turn me away from you. I love you, Father. Anyhow, the afflictions of the righteous, the hearts of pain, getting more and more vicious. Brutality is on the increase. Tell me, when did the love of God cease? No power on earth to separate me from love. Love my Jesus, nothing will be able to turn me away from you. I love you, Father. This level of crime, only love can eradicate. We must demand justice from the church and the state, and confess us so much better days when we show love to each and every brother. Love will return to protect mother, daughter, sister. Let's hope in our heart to those who are with me, who never receive love. Come, let's sow some seed. No power on earth to separate me from love. Love my Jesus. Nothing will be able to turn me away from you. I love you, Heavenly Father. No power on earth to separate me from love. I love you, my Jesus. Nothing will be able to turn me away from you. No, 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 no power on earth to separate me from you. No power, no, oh no, nothing will be able to turn me away from you. No, 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 there's not a broken vessel God can't mend. The thief was down to his last breath, and in vain carried away. When he turned to the master and said, Lord of mercy on me, he was just a broken vessel. Then Jesus washed away his sins. 'Cause there's nothing a broken vessel that God can mend. Oh, there's nothing a broken vessel God can't mend. When the whole world turns back on you, Jesus will be your friend. He will pick up all the pieces, time and time again. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel that God can't mend. Lord Almighty, Jesus sees the potter, and we are just the clay. And even when the vessel is broken, He will throw the clay away. Bring Him all of your borders, your troubles and your sin. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel Almighty God can make. Yeah. There's not a broken vessel that God can make. When the whole world turns its back on you, Jesus will always be your friend. He will pick up all the pieces, time and time again. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel that God can make. Yeah, there's not a broken vessel that God can make. Yeah.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with your super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring and more. At Tools, hardware and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
Jamaica is what built fire, passion and vibes, and through it all there's a glow inside. Let's keep her shine alive.
From the market to the factory floors, from the hillside green to golden shores,
We're reaching heights, energy that lights the sky. Shine bright, Jamaica. Shine bright, Jamaica. Feel it, feel it. Together we climb. JPS Jamaica. Together we shine.
shine from the ends, shine with your family, shine with your friends, light up the streets and make the vibes blend. Your JPS and make the shine never end. Welcome all to all my listeners and viewers. Welcome to Rebel Radio. Today is Wednesday, yes. We're off to a late start, but better late than never. And so many things happening around the world. Remember, today is our day for the eyes on the world. That program where we take a look at what is happening. But we are going to start today's proceedings with a very unfortunate note. Yes, we are talking about the slaughtering of journalists. I wonder how many listeners and viewers are aware that since October 7th last year, over 200 of our colleagues, journalists, have been killed in Gaza. And just last week, 5 journalists, as a matter of fact, 6, were killed. Yes, the Israelis bombed their tent and killed them. One of the journalists, they claim that he's a member of Hamas. No substantial evidence has been provided. And I must tell you something, that there is something that is very annoying for me. That, as you're aware, the Caribbean governments and governments around the world have been silent on the genocide in Gaza. And I am annoyed that my colleagues in the Caribbean have not found it necessary to lift their voices against the slaughter of their colleagues in Gaza. One of the things that we must remember as journalists, whether you are practicing Germany, Vietnam, Jamaica, Haiti, remember that we are journalists and we must support each other.
Well, since Monday I've been talking on Rebel Radio, we have been talking about this attack on the voices of freedom of expression, and we are going to continue this afternoon. I have with me some of my colleagues, former veteran journalist and former president of the Press Association and publisher. Yes, publisher Ben Brody with me. I have Antiguan journalist Zoe with me. I have Norris MacDonald, and I lost Adam Harris. Yes, I'm going to try and get him back. Adam Harris is out of Guyana. Gentlemen, and let me just try and get back Adam on the show. Yes. Yes, so as I was saying that, welcome this afternoon to my colleagues. And Ben, I want to start with you, Ben. What is your take on what is happening to our colleagues?
Are you talking to me?
No, I am.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I logged in, but I had a problem.
Okay.
Look, I heard the introduction about journalists being killed.
Yes.
All over the world, journalists are under attack. Mm-hmm. It isn't strange. It happens in my country, Guyana. I can't. Journalists have not been killed here, but they have been prosecuted. We have a law which is selectively applied. Well, two. There is one they call the cybercrime law. For example, if I do an interview and I place it on social media and it attacks somebody who's closely related to the government, I'm charged with a cybercrime. That is selectively applied only to some people. We've had cases where journalists were arrested and charged because they were hosting a program like this and somebody made a comment which offended the government. The charge came 3 weeks after the program. However, the fellow prevailed in the court. We had another reporter who described some people as French crapaud. Now, the crapaud is a large frog. He was charged, placed before the court. So journalists are attacked. And what's happening in the Gaza is just another example. They are intended, such attacks are intended to silence reporters. I remember a journalist investigating a case in Ireland not so long ago, and she was assassinated. There was another one who was killed in New York. He was having coffee. Somebody didn't like the report he was doing, and he was killed. So we are a dangerous breed. Dangerous in the sense that we are in danger.
Yes. Ben, what is your take, Ben?
First of all, this one, I must really commend you on pursuing this path to do your bit to ensure that issues like these are brought to the attention of the public. Not many people paying any attention to this. And it is our responsibility as journalists to see how best we can help to educate people to understand the role that journalists play and the reason why we are being targeted, especially in situations like exist in the Middle East, Israel. And not just Israel. Israel is just one of several. I mean, the major countries in the world have consistently attacked journalists, especially if they reveal about what is happening. And before I go further, I would like to simply suggest that our press association needs to look at its role and its function. And we can start to reactivate the association from simply being a annual show in prices of life stories to an organization that has interest and is prepared to participate and initiate activities to assist the people of the region, the people in Jamaica, to understand what is happening around them. I would suggest that right now we can look toward, or we should be trying to begin a series of forums or fora where we discuss matters of this nature. In particular, the Israel situation here now. And I can tell you, Israel is doing their thing, their propaganda. In April, they put out an advertisement in the Observer, identifying places like a whole series of places that say they're all lying and Israel is telling the truth. I don't know if you saw it.
No, I didn't see that one.
Doctors Without Borders is lying, the UN Special Rapporteur is lying, the World Spiritual Foundation is lying. Everybody is lying except Israel.
Yeah. But by the way, Ben, are you speaking are you on speakerphone? Ben, are you on speakerphone?
Yes.
Huh? Come on. Are you on speakerphone? I'm asking if you're on speakerphone, Ben.
Yeah. You hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, but I'm getting, there's a feedback in your...
Are you hearing that?
Adam? Hello, Adam. Hold on there, Ben. Let me just ask. Adam.
Yes, sir.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All right. Yes. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there. Let me try and get back to Ben. We lost Ben. Let me just try and get him back. We're talking about the attacks on journalists around the world, and in particular what is happening to our colleagues in Gaza. Yes. Zoe?
Hi.
Yes. What?
Hi, well...
Yes, go ahead, Zoe.
Yeah, I'm here. First of all, Desmond, I have to say that
Adam?
Yes, sir.
Are you on speakerphone?
Yes.
No, I'm asking if you're on.
Yes, I am.
No, could you come on speakerphone?
I'm on speaker.
No, come on speakerphone.
I'm on speakerphone.
Yeah, kindly come off speakerphone.
I will have to come off and try to call you back.
Yeah, well, come off and let me call you back. Just come off the speakerphone and let me call you back.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Just do that. Yes. Just let me try and relink, two of my colleagues there.
That's better. We can hear you now, Desmond.
Yes, the speakerphone was disturbing the broadcast. So let me try and get back Hadam and Ben Broody to see if they will rejoin us. Yes, so while we are trying to reconnect, Zoe, what is your take?
Well, first of all, I have to say that as a journalist in Antigua, I'm a little bit protected. We do have a lot of license here. I think the government lets journalists get away with quite a lot.
Yes.
But in terms of what's going on in Gaza, I think it is shocking, and it's a bad time to be a journalist. 124 journalists around the world were killed last year, most of them in Gaza. And they are being deliberately targeted. But one of the things is...
Yes, go ahead, Zoe.
I think the set attacks by Hamas into Israel were horrendous, vicious, brutal and nasty. And Israel is just, I think, responding in kind. And their determination, regardless of international law, is to annihilate Hamas.
Yes.
And I think for that, if they even think a journalist, maybe an Al Jazeera journalist especially, maybe working for Hamas, they don't care about international law. So it's a little bit, it is horrendous, it's definitely vicious, but trying to understand the whole of the situation there is also, I think, important. But it is a dangerous time to be a journalist, and there are international laws. But of course, Israel and Hamas, they don't care about international laws. And it's for civilians. International law also prohibits targeting civilians.
Yes.
But how many thousands and thousands and thousands of civilians have been killed in the Gaza Strip in the recent war? The journalist, obviously, as a journalist, we're all deeply anxious about it. But we've got to understand it in the context of what is going on out there. And we do need more protection for journalists, but it's the civilians that are really suffering out there, the journalists as well. But I think that's what we have to look at, the overall picture. And it's very hard to understand the hate between the two sides. And they will attack anybody that they think is, however indirectly, however lacking in evidence, is part of Hamas or part of Israel. And they're totally ignoring international law. And that's my feeling, that it is terrible. As a journalist, it's shocking. Trying to understand the whole of the mess that is going on there, the history, the hate, is very difficult.
Yes. Norris, I know you have been watching what is happening.
Thank you for inviting me on. No, it's very important that we look at the issue in a very broad context. Israel has killed over 270 journalists, which, if you combine World War I and II, 50 World War I and II. And they have killed more journalists in Gaza than all wars going back to World War I.
Yes.
So that's just to put that perspective of the murder of journalists. The second important thing we need to look at is that Israel also targeted the UN Relief Association, bombed them, killed them, saying they're working for Hamas.
Yes.
So what Israel has done with what Israel has done, supported by the Western media and the Western countries, including America, is to lump or target people by just saying, all they have to do is accuse them of something and so on, which is summary murder which they keep up. Now, a third point which is very important. International law, under international law, And the same was true of Algeria or South Africa, or any country which is under occupation, under international law. They are permitted to wage armed struggle to get their freedom. Those are precepts and tenets of international law. Yes. So Israel has illegally occupied the Palestinian territory. They are now saying that they're going to annex the West Bank. They are trying to drive everybody out of Gaza. Because Israel have what they call Earth Israel, which is greater Israel, in which the Zionist philosophy which guides them says that the so-called Israel of the Bible, which include parts of Egypt, parts of Saudi Arabia, all the way up to the Persian border, parts of Iraq, belong to them.
Yes.
So these murders are perpetrated under ideological, Zionist ideological spectrum, right? And America and Europe, their weapons are killing these journalists. So I'm saying it's very important we don't lose sight of the total picture. The total picture is this. Israel actions are criminal, justified, under no precepts of international law. And secondly, the reason why they are being able to get away with it is that they are untouchables in the world.
Yes.
Only the Zionists, Israel can do so much things, just do whatever they want, and say anything they want to say. And if you criticize them, it's anti-Semitic.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And this is the key. These are the, from my perspective, I think from a broader picture, these are the fundamental issues we have to bear in mind. Israel actions are illegal. The Palestinians' actions are defensive. They have a right to fight to free themselves from Israeli occupation. And that is a tenet of international law. And there can be no justification for Israel's murder of 270 journalists aided by America and Western Europe.
Yes, yes. The other thing that I observe that the Caribbean governments, like other governments, like the Western governments and the other governments around the world, they have remained silent in the face of these atrocities. Israel has prevented food and water from reaching the people, right? There are people who are dying of hunger in Gaza. And our governments remain silent. And unfortunately, our journalists have joined that band, because one of the things that I don't understand, as a journalist, my colleagues are global. So journalists in Germany, journalists in Vietnam, wherever they are, I see them as my colleagues. And therefore, whenever they are being attacked, whatever hindrances are put in their way in the performance of their duties, I see it as part of my responsibility to speak out against it. So I find the silence of my Caribbean colleagues to be something that is offensive. Yes.
I would like to make one point. Well, 2 points. One, there is the old saying, might is right. Now, the big United States seems to be in control of many, well, let us say many countries in the world seem to be beholden to the United States, and they don't want to upset the United States. And that's why there is the silence, because the United States is supporting Israel. So Israel is doing what it wants. Mm-hmm. And our governments don't want to fall, as they say, in the U.S. bad books. And let's not forget that even in the United States, journalists are attacked. We have seen the news clips of the reaction of the president to journalists. Just in California, and there was a report that one of the guards directly aimed a rubber bullet at a journalist and shot her in the leg. And that was in the United States, dubbed as the bastion of democracy, and all of these things. We have journalist associations internationally. A lot of us would talk. But then at the same time, depending on where we live, we tend to take sides. For example, with the war between Israel and Iran, Israel deliberately shut down from the international world the effect of the Iranian attack. Now, we are supposed to be the people to tell the truth, but the government didn't allow certain reporting. And that happens all over. All over. The Caribbean, we are perhaps more tolerant. But it happens.
Yes. Yes, it is. And it's something that is troubling. It's troubling. Because, for example, even in the Caribbean here, we last year, 2 of our colleagues in Haiti were killed, right? And I know that 2 others were injured. As a matter of fact, I believe that they are still in Cuba, trying to recuperate. And I know they are having difficulties finding the cost for the medical treatment. And you know, we remain silent on these things, because what I think, you know, as you pointed out, Adam, that I don't know. Well, I don't know if it is a case where we feel as journalists that the fact that we are so close to the United States and our governments, you know, are dependent on the U.S., that we feel that we should, you know, remain silent on issues like for example, what Israel is doing. But I don't think the media, the role of the media is something that is clear. The media practitioners are supposed to be independent thinkers, and we shouldn't allow ourselves to be cowed, you know, and prevented from speaking the truth. It's not how we should operate.
Well, if I can just jump in here, yes. You're 100% correct. But there's a point which George Orwell made in his book 1984 about the Ministry of Truth, the Big Brothers. We live in a world now in which censorship, we are having genocide taking place, broadcast, live stream, and the media. But you also have a situation where, for example, critics of that is being silenced on the media, like Google, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, they have block accounts from, say, the Palestinian Voices, or people are critical and so on, right? Yeah. Now, bringing in the role of government also now, including the Jamaican government. Governments function in the same sense of being the so-called gatekeepers, the big brothers. They deciding what is truth and what is not truth. So in other words, if Israel say these journalists work with Hamas, we must take it as true because Israel, quote unquote, is part of the Western narrative. Yes. The evil narrative. Mm-hmm. And what we must do, we have to debunk the myth of Western imperialism, of this mind control, which is to perpetuate. That is tied to something else. It's tied to the control of the wealth of society. It's tied to the control of making people become slave of the economic system. You work, you can't get a good pay. And one more quick point: Gaza have oil, so it's not just oil. It's not a religious issue. We must not lose sight of the bigger picture. Yes. Prime Minister Olmert have signed the agreement when he was there to have profit sharing with Arafat.
Yes.
Right? It was Arafat. Where the oil would have been, the oil wealth would have, Palestine would have gotten, I think, about up to 400 billion now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what Israel has done, Israel have given contract to Chevron, American company, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have given contract to Total, a French company. They have given contract to a Turkish company and an Egyptian company. So the Palestinian wealth are being plundered.
Yes, yes.
They have a right to fight for their wealth.
Yes.
Right? And we must be their voice, making sure that even if they silence those journalists there and so on, right? We must make not a noise, even with condensed span. We must make sure so the truth comes out that it's murder for the wealth of the Palestinian people. It's murder for their land. To build nice resorts, as Trump says. God think Trump. You know? How dare you have this beautiful land with beaches and with oil? We want to run a pipeline from Qatar come straight through, and we want your oil, by the way, at the same time. Yeah. So there are deep fundamental issues which are involved, right? You know, and I'm saying that it's very good, and I congratulate this one for having a program like this. Because more and more, like I publish my Substack, and I publish stuff on LinkedIn. And what I try to do, I try to put out a point of view. And this way, all of us, being all of us as publishers, are journalists, right? Independently. We have to keep speaking the truth to power, as Marcus Garvey was doing in his time.
Yes.
We're following in Garvey's tradition. We're Garvey's warrior in the modern time. I'm a Coromant Maroon.
Yes.
And I'm sounding their bang. Just like how my people sounded their bang for justice.
Yes. Well, I tell you what, we have to leave it there for today, this evening. But I want all three of us, four of us, to understand that we are going to continue to talk about these atrocities. So let us say to be continued. Thank you very much, Norris McDonald.
Respect.
Adam Harris. And Zoe.
Thank you.
Zoe.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Desmond.
Okay. To be continued. Thank you very much. Yes. That was our conversation as we continue to struggle for our colleagues. And we had with us, we had Ben Brody, we had Adam Harris, and our colleague from Antigua there. Let us, thanks to them, and as we say, to be continued. This is Rebel Radio. Let us go for a break.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, Hardware and Supplies is turning up the heat this summer with their super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring and more. At Tools, Hardware and Supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hard Hills.
Oh, Jamaica is were built with fire, passion and vibes, and through it all there's a glow inside. Let's keep our shine alive.
From the market to the factory floors, from the hillside green to golden shores.
We're reaching heights, our energy that lights the sky. Shine bright, Jamaica. Shine bright, Jamaica. We're on track.
Warren.
Yes, welcome back to Rebel Radio. And we are joined by constitutional expert lawyer Dr. Lloyd Barnett. And good afternoon, Dr. Barnett.
Good afternoon.
And we wanted to, yesterday evening at the presentation of the PNP manifesto, they indicated their intention to increase the budget, the Senate, yes, that they want to include members of the diaspora, persons with their disabilities, and from the Rastafari and Maroon communities. They would want to include those representatives in the Senate. Yes, Dr. Barnett, what do you make of this
Basically, I think there's another agreement that the Senate should be expanded.
Yes.
The Senate a review chamber, a review legislative and policy chamber, which deals with national issues. And at the moment, because of the small numbers, as it is, most of the members of the Senate are virtually front benchers of either the government or the opposition.
Yes.
So that the facility for committees, for reflection, for review, are severely limited by the size. So that, firstly, I think there's an argument for the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
There's a second proposal which has been made and has been generally accepted, that apart from the political representatives, it should include members of civil society, persons who are not allied to the political parties necessarily, but who provide a reflection of the society generally, and in particular certain interest groups within the society.
Right.
Now, when you go further than that and specify an entitlement to a particular group of persons, rather than the principle of inclusion, what you in fact do is exclude, because you say that one set of persons become entitled, but what about another set of persons?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that there will always be very good arguments in favor of the representation of different segments of the society.
Yes.
So it's best to leave it flexible and not to give any automatic entitlement to any segment of the society, because that's merely institute division rather than, cooperation and inclusiveness.
Yes. So based on where during the recent discussions on constitutional reform, that issue came up, Dr. Barnett. Was it discussed? No, I am asking if during the discussion
Hello?
Yes, are you hearing me, Dr. Barnett? Hello?
Hello?
I don't know what is happening here. It's like I'm not hearing Dr. Barnett. Let me try and get him back. There, we just lost him. I don't know what happened there. Let me try and Yeah. Hello, Dr. Barnett.
I can hear you again. Then we went cut off.
Okay, yes.
And you're saying, ask your question.
Yes. The question I was asking if that during the recent discussion on constitutional reform, if those recommendations were made.
Yes, the recommendation was for expansion.
Yes.
And for the appointment of additional members.
Yes.
Based upon and the objective of including the representation of relevant sections of the Jamaican community.
Yes. And do you think it is a reasonable or do you think it's something that we should be accepted?
Yeah, I think so. And as I was saying before, we broke off. The only thing I'm concerned about in the way in which the proposal that you indicated has been made, it seems to be guaranteeing representation for particular elements. Yes. And I don't think that should be done because that emphasizes divisiveness rather than inclusiveness. Mm-hmm. And I think it should just be left as representative of the wider society. Because if we take up one group of persons and give them an entitlement to the exclusion of another set of persons, how do you justify that? Mm-hmm. You know, so that I don't think there should be a predetermined entitlement to any one group. Oh. I mean, if you take up one religious group, for instance, and they don't mention in the document you indicated to me, the report, they don't mention the Baptists. Now, the Baptists have the greatest history of contribution to freedom and development in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. From slavery, they were, essential, or first, the first in time national hero was a Baptist deacon. Yeah. Another hero is a Baptist deacon. Mm-hmm. They established village communities, land holdings. They established an educational system. Yes, sir. So that, historically, if you go back, then there is no justification if you're going to identify groups to leave out a group like that.
Yes, yes. Well, let us see what they are. I see that we know this, that they have indicated their intention to go for the Caribbean Court of Justice. We know that has been their position. We know that.
Yes.
But this
we discussed it on this program already.
Yes. This issue of impeachment. No, it is impeachment and recall. It is something that has been spoken about in Jamaica for a long while now. I remember that. But is the process? Who is going to?
Yes, you see, a lot of people have said it sounds nice, but in constitutional matters, you have to be very careful that you do not introduce things which merely sound nice and you don't know it's going to operate.
Yes.
Impeachment was raised first in Europe over 500 years ago. They didn't pursue it. England picked it up, didn't pursue it. The United States picked it up because at the time of their independence, it was still something that was being discussed and in existence. But look at the way it has operated in the United States and in other countries where it has existed. So that you just say something sounds nice and you adopt it, but it is full of problems. And I've raised the difficulties of having an impeachment system and its susceptibility to political domination and manipulation. Yeah. And there's no answer to that, because if it is going to be politicians who become the judges, or are you going to control it?
Yes, that is what I am concerned about myself. How the process, how this process is going to be managed. Because
yes, I mean, nobody has come with a reasonable and workable prospect.
Yes.
And I mean, it has existed in the United States for a long time, both nationally and at state level, and has not worked. It has been a basis for abuse.
Mm-hmm. Because
I know if you are saying you don't trust the politicians, and then you give them the judicial power to
To impeach.
Expel people from parliament.
Yes.
What are you saying? The majority is going to be in control of the minority.
Yeah, because one of the things that we will not get in the House of Representatives is impartiality. You won't get that.
No, because they are politically aligned.
Yes.
If you want to get rid of somebody and then it makes an excuse to say that that person has acted in a manner which is abominable. And nobody can say, how you define that.
Yes. And therefore, what is going to happen is that that process is going to be very difficult. And
very politically dominated, controversial.
Yes.
One impeachment process in Jamaica could last for many months, if not years. And who's going to investigate the impeachment offense? Parliament is going to set up its own police force.
Yes. It is something that I think they need to really to think about it. Think about the process.
Yes.
Because it is going to be. But as we have discussed on this show, and I know what you have said, basically, apart from the accepting the Caribbean Court of Justice and this impeachment process here, is that there is hardly any fundamental difference between the JLP and PNP.
No, I think right. In fact, in relation to impeachment, the JLP prefers to put it forward. So on paper, there is no sort of political difference in relation to it. But when the Constitutional Reform Committee had examined it and the pros and cons and the principles and practical problems relating to its implementation, the Constitutional Reform Committee recommended that it should not be adopted.
Yes, right. Fixed election date is something that has been spoken about, and both political parties have promised this, but when they are in power, they seem to forget that they had made this promise. Yeah. I don't understand. Yeah. I don't understand what is the big issue why we can't have fixed election date. Do you?
No, I'm strongly in favor of it, because the question of fairness, the question of certainty, the question of efficient administration, all those factors are in favor of a fixed election date.
Yes.
And I even modify it and say a fixed election period, like in Germany, where it says that within a period of 2 months, it doesn't fix the actual day, but it says that it has a defined period that it must be called within that 2 months window. Something like that is quite workable and fair, and it eliminates the uncertainties and the disruption which is caused by not having a definite period.
Yes. Dr. Barnett, I have heard some comments following the recent decision by the Privy Council in relation to Vibes cartel case, that some people are putting that argument forward, that is one of the reasons why we should retain the Privy Council. But
who says that the Caribbean Court of Justice would have made a different decision than the Privy Council?
That is what I don't understand. That's because the Caribbean Court didn't hear this matter. Right? So
the Caribbean Court of Justice is very, very committed to fairness, to principles of justice, and all its decisions tend to be very firmly in favor of natural justice and due process.
Yes.
So there's no basis for saying this. There are many cases, and I've been involved in a lot of them, which go to the Privy Council. And sometimes it's because the matter was not presented properly before our Court of Appeal. A lot of the cases, for instance, in the murder convictions, the scientific evidence was deficient, the psychological, psychiatric evidence was deficient, and sometimes when you go to the Privy Council and they see this, they have to intervene. The same thing would be done by the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Yes, yes. You know, but Dr. Barnett, one of the things I just can't understand is why black people would, you know, feel or have in their heads that we should retain the Privy Council as our court.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Having been a person who studied in England, went to the University of London and to the Inns of Court, mixed with people from England, Scotland, Africa, United States. I don't know why we don't have confidence in ourselves.
Yes.
Because the performance of the Caribbean people in the context of that global space was outstanding. You know, so why is it that we don't believe in our own people?
Yes,
I can't understand it.
So I am puzzled, Dr. Barnett, puzzled because for example, I am not a lawyer, but I know that there's nothing that says the people in the Caribbean court are people outside of, or judges outside of the Privy Council can't apply the law in a fair way. Why do I don't understand why some people feel?
I don't understand it either. I see some people talking about foreign investors having confidence in the Privy Council. The Guyana and the Barbados are two countries which from the beginning accepted the jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice. And they are far ahead of Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago in the economic assessment so far as the global economy and the investors are concerned.
You know,
so it is ridiculous to say that because you go to the Caribbean Court of Justice, it's going to deter foreign investors.
Yes. And
there's no evidence of that.
The other thing that we must look at is the cost. In Jamaica, I don't think we fully understand the cost for going to the Privy Council. I think
no, you see, because the costs not only involve your attorneys, if you're going to be using your local attorneys, which again is preferable, of airfares, hotel accommodation, and then because of the way in which the Privy Council is administered, you usually need to have a London set of solicitors who are the people on the record who deals with all the administrative problems. And their costs are massive.
Yes.
You know, so that an ordinary Jamaican can't afford to appeal to the Privy Council.
No, they can't. And I don't think this message, you know, is the people in Jamaica fully understand this. I don't think so. I definitely don't think so. But let us see what is going to happen when...
So after the elections, we have to take up the matter and, you know, be quite earnest in the pursuit, because it is now too late in the day for us to be still under the monarchy. So, you know, it is really repugnant to a sense of national well-being that we should still be
Yes, I think so too, Dr. Barnett. Well, I want to thank you very much for your time today. Yes,
all the best.
Yes, we'll to be continued. Thank you very much.
We'll talk again.
Yes, that was constitutional lawyer Dr. Lloyd Barnett there, and we were talking about the Constitution and the changes proposed by the People's National Party. Yes. But you see, as we were saying a while ago, that there are some issues. First of all, we just, well, for me, I'm saying so, and I know that I am not alone who have this view, that it is just not, I just can't understand the situation where, you know, we in the Caribbean are inclined, or still hold the view, people in the Caribbean still hold the view that we should have the Privy Council as our final court. You know, I just find it just, you know, to me it's just a backward thinking. Because why we don't believe that we have men and women in the Caribbean who are competent enough to deal with our justice issues? Why we believe that only white people can do that for us? Why where we get this belief? Why do we believe in white people to give us justice? Why? These are the people who enslaved us, right? And why do we believe that, you know, they are brighter than us? Why? They have one brain. There's no white man with two brains. We have one brain. And therefore, as I said, I think it is just time to end that relationship. Yes. And we need to, as I said, set up we have our own court already, and it's time for us to just abandon the Privy Council and build our own institution. Now, as Dr. Barnett pointed out, that and that is something that I am thinking about too, the impeachment. It is something that we would like to have, but what I am concerned about is the process. Who is going to be in charge of that process? Because it is not possible to find an impartial body, an impartial hearing in the Parliament. The Parliament is divided. It's with two parties, and the members in the House of Representatives are supporting their parties. Now, so it is going to be difficult to administrate. Yes, going to be difficult, and I hope that they, think about this one. The idea to include, groups into this, expand the Senate, I think it's a good idea. Yeah. But so far, both the PNP and the JLP, they don't want any executive president. They want a ceremonial president. Yes. They don't want to change the existing form of government either. They don't want that. They want to maintain it. So let us see what is going to happen. Coming up next, it is food security. And as you know, we have initiated a discussion. We are linking up with our Caribbean farmers right around the Caribbean and looking at what must be done and how we must move to ensure that we are able to provide our own food and reduce imports and to strengthen the interests of the Caribbean farmers. Coming up next at 4. This is Rebel Radio. Let's take a break.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with their super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
And vibes, and through it all there's a glow inside. Let's keep our shine alive.
From the market to the factory floors, from the hillside green to golden shores,
we're reaching heights, energy that lights the sky. Shine bright, Jamaica. Shine bright, Jamaica. Feel it, feel it. Together we climb. JPS Jamaica. Together we shine.
Shine for the ends, shine with your family, shine with your friends. Light up the streets and make the vibes blend. Your JPS and make the shine never end.
Tools, hardware.
Yes, welcome back to Rebel Radio. And as we say, it's time for our weekly program. This is where we spend some time looking at what must be done in the Caribbean to ensure that we are able to feed ourselves and reduce the cost of imports and to strengthen our farming community. You know, they are one of the things that we have discovered, and is that the Caribbean farmers, they are facing similar issues. And we want to form ourselves into a group that will represent the interest of the farmers. In other words, we want to be in a position, the farmers, to be in a position where they can sit at the table with the policy makers. Yes. We have with us this evening Mr. Shiraz Khan out of Trinidad. We have Mr. Mesha Halford out of St. Kitts. Mr. James Paul, CEO of the Barbados Agricultural Society. We have Dr. Omar Thomas, who is expert in agriculture with us. We have Miss Maureen Denton. So our two new participants this evening are Miss Maureen Denton, agriculturist from Jamaica, and Dr. Omar Thomas. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon to all.
Yes.
Welcome who was here before.
Yes.
Nice having you all on board.
Yes. I want to alert the members that I have the names of farmers out of Bahamas. Dr. Thomas. Good evening, Dr. Thomas. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Are you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear. Those two names.
Okay.
Those three names you sent me there. That is Bahamas or Barbados?
No, that is the Bahamas.
Bahamas, yes. So
the Bahamas, yes.
I just want to alert my colleagues that I have some new names, which I am going to introduce. As a matter of fact, I have sent them notes already, and I was expecting one of them to join me this evening, but so far not yet. But one of the last discussion we had was that we are going to make link with existing organizations representing farmers around the Caribbean, because what we want to do, we want to strengthen those organizations, and from there, what we then want to move forward from there to form an organization or representing the farmers around the Caribbean. So that is where we are. Mr. Paul, do you have any new information for us?
Not really, no. Just that, we environment say we sort of caught up dealing with some issues here right now because, as you know, we within the BAS have been very instrumental recently in terms of trying to promote our dairy industry, and we were successful.
Where that sound is coming from. Yes. Anyway, Mr.
Well, that's better now.
Yes, okay. Go, Mr. Paul, yes.
We were successful this year in arranging the importation of dairy cows, dairy animals, heifers, out of, these are heifers really, pregnant heifers out of the U.S. In order to...
Canada.
Canada, sorry. You're right, Canada. In order to prevent the continuing decline in our production, because one of the issues is that we were not breeding, our breeding program was not being effective, and also we had to get that immediate increase. We have achieved it. In other words, the objective has been achieved in terms of preventing the continuing decline in production. Of course, one of the conditions
yes, it stopped now. Okay. Yes.
Right. So one of the conditions, though, was that the thing about the rebate, we were trying to organize ourselves to have a rebate. But that in itself is of concern right now to the farmers, because the government was supposed to pay that rebate for a while now. Hasn't been paid. And that is why we keep on starting out the organization. And we, first of all, the whole thing was arranged because we have a very organized farmers body in terms of the dairy and beef, and they are members of the Barbados Agricultural Society. Also, we are now lobbying to ensure that government honors its commitment to the farmers to actually pay the rebate, because with the payment of the rebate, it will mean then, therefore, of course, that will make the purchase, the whole importation of the heifers much more feasible than it would normally be. And this is why I keep on saying that it is important that we have strong farmers organizations, and we seek to work with existing organizations and legitimize them, because I think the issue is that in the region is that, yes, we have extremely good technical people, but the problem is that the farmers themselves need to organize into bodies that ensures that they can be an effective lobby group. And I'm going to say that I'm not talking just to see, because I find in the region we have this taboo about politics. It's not being political. It is being that as a pressure group, you must be able to farmers must be able to exert pressure on the governments to do what they need to do. And the only way they can do that is by acting as a united body. And that's what we try to do. Get them to act as a united body to do the things that they need to do. Okay? The splinter groups that we have popping up in agriculture is not good. Right? And we need to have concerted action even in one country, in terms of saying to the farmers with at least one voice. With one voice, yes, so saying to the government with one voice, all farmers, that this is what we need to do. And one of the issues I have sometimes in the sector is that sometimes farmers seem to want to compete with each other for the attention of government. That's what we need to do. As a matter of fact, what we try to do is to form consensus on issues. In other words, if we have a consensus on approach, that is what we want to take to government, not people's individual point of view, because I find one of the issues in farming is everybody thinks they are smart. Everybody thinks they have the right answer. And every farmer feels that, this is what it is. And they don't understand sometimes that politicians love this. Because I always mention the thing about divide and rule. Politicians are adept at dividing and ruling, and we fall straight into the trap when we think that by going individually and say, well, I'm smarter than this fella and I'm able to give you this, what they divide you, and then they rule you, because things that you actually going for, you don't get.
Yeah.
And that's the big one.
Dr. Thomas, you have worked with the Caribbean Farmers and Association so far. What do you think about what we are trying to do on this platform?
Well, I will just say, Desmond, that when you mentioned this to me, I asked one question of you, and that is, did you recognize that there is a body known as the Caribbean Agribusiness Association? Okay, because that has been a body that even has a voice at the quoted. Okay, and for them to have a voice at the quoted, I mean the farm boys quoted, I call it the farm boys quoted, meaning the one that deals with agriculture. And for them to have that voice at the quoted, it therefore means that there's a certain amount of recognition that is given to them by the member states. So how do we then dovetail what we're trying to do here in Kaba? Sorry, you. Am I being heard? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Somebody his phone is hacking up there.
Yes.
I'm interrupting.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Thomas.
Yes. So I want to know then, how then would we interface with the activities of, or the objectives of the Caribbean Agribusiness Association?
It was about hold on, Dr. Thomas. Yeah. Caribbean Agribusiness Association represents. Just tell us about what that.
It represents. It is an association of agricultural bodies within the Caribbean. Okay. Yes. As a matter of fact, it got funding from one of either some international agencies or the agencies out of CARICOM.
Gentlemen, and these members who are here now, Mr. Lane, Mr. Khan, Mr. Paul, and Mr. Halford, are you aware of the Caribbean Agribusiness Association?
I'm not aware of it, and I probably heard about it, but I have no input into it. I don't have any information about it.
Yeah, Mr. Paul.
I don't know who's the representative. Is there any representation from Trinidad in terms of respect that representative from Trinidad?
Really,
there is. You have representation from Trinidad.
Yeah,
I
Trinidad.
think there's yes, pardon? We have representation from Bahamas, I believe, because I was even asked to make some comment on the Bahamas entry into the Kaaba a year or two ago. There is representation from, of course, from Jamaica, because the office was in Jamaica, and I think one of the other islands from the OECS.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yes, Barbados clearly was a member. Barbados clearly was a member.
Yes.
Okay? Because...
Mr. Paul, you know about that organization?
But as I said, Barbados is one of the members of the Caribbean Agribusiness Association. So I was involved at the time. Hold on.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, we are still supposed to be involved. Actually, we were supposed to be the paper point at the BAS. But our contention at the time was that the Caribbean Agribusiness Association does not really represent farmers. Yeah. It represents business groupings, like, for instance, mostly in respect of the other part of the chain, like processors and things such as this. Okay. And I know Mr. Alistair Green, who is currently at ICA. He was one of the principal actors in CABA at the time, because it was actually I can't remember the gentleman's name, but it's failing me. My memory is not good all the time. Okay, but it was established as an initiative of ICA at the time. In fact, Mr. I don't know if anyone remember Arlington Chesney. He was very instrumental in the establishment of CABA. And what happened then is that, that is how it started. And we were initial members, and we understood what it was about, but it was not a farmers' organization as such.
So what is its status now?
But I know that it is actually the secretariat, I think, is in Trinidad, really. I'm trying to remember his name now.
In AICA?
In AICA, I can't remember. I try to remember things, but I'll be ashamed. I tell my captain. But I know that.
I know Arlington Chesney is Trinidad, and also Edwin Carey and the other guy you mentioned.
No, Alistair knows in Barbados. He's a regional representative for Ecohere. Right? There's a name I'm trying to remember that it's going to come to me, don't worry. But he's the person that's really he is actually, I think, this person who's actually in charge of CAB at the moment. And that's what it was. But I think really, I'm going back to the point where I'm trying to make that in respect of farmers themselves, that farmers need to have their own organization that represent their interests. That's where CAFAN, Caribbean Farmers Network, was playing the role. Because we also had a seat at the quartet. Actually, we as I said before, that's what we're trying to do now, is to sort of get back that seat. But Vassal, you know Vassal. Vassal Stewart, of course, right? So Vassal actually now, I think he still plays a lead role in Cava, right? Playing his role. But what I'm saying, as I said before, I'm focusing really on the Caribbean agribusiness, on Caribbean farmers, right? And that's why we're trying to revitalize CAFAN from the point of view that it really is a network of actual farmers organizations. And that's in the region, because we want to ensure that when the quartet meets, that farmers' issues are properly dealt with. And these are the production issues. This is not where you assume that is product. The main problem that we have in the region is that our production is not consistent in the quantities that are desired. It is only in the case of poultry, for instance, which is very organized, that you have consistent production of the commodity. Right? But when it comes to the other commodities, agricultural products, fruits and vegetables, there's not this inconsistent production of those commodities. What we see, for instance, you take what is happening in Guyana today, is that you see the government has made a large investment using the newly found wealth in oil. The government is using their large investment to help stimulate the industry. So, for instance, they have them growing soybeans, corn in Guyana, right? And there's a lot of investment that's going into it. But how is that happening? It's because of the fact the government is actually backing the agricultural sector as far as that is concerned. And that's the kind of backing that we need in every single country where government pours that kind of money into the agricultural sector in order to make it work.
Let me invite Miss Denton. That's the only female on the panel. What do you make of what you have heard so far? Miss Denton? Maureen?
She's muted. Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Yeah, we hear you now.
We can, yes.
Yes, so good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm not familiar with the Caribbean Agribusiness Association, so I really can't comment on it. But I heard the question Dr. Thomas is asking. If such an organization exists, if we're looking to do similar things, should there be some alignment or some coming together? But I also heard the comment from the other speaker that the focus of CABA has been more in terms of on the processors side and less so on the farmers side. So I would think, yes, one, it is worth finding out exactly where CABA is, what's their mandate, where it stands now, what is being done. What I do know, and I definitely believe, is that we need very strong regional associations to address the needs of the agricultural sector in different countries. This sort of collaboration, I think, is key in terms of trying to improve food security throughout the region, because I think there'd be several areas that through this cooperation we could be helping each other. I mean, ideally, and this is an ideal, one would love to be at the point where to say, okay, because of the competitive advantage this country has, then that country will focus primarily, or in addition, but the focus there is on doing whatever that product is, another country doing it. I mean, that requires going back to really having better collaboration among the region. But in the meantime, there is significant value to having a strong grouping throughout the Caribbean to address the questions that are being faced by farmers in every very similar question by farmers in every single one of our countries in the region.
Yes.
So I'm definitely supportive.
Yes. Well,
but we don't want to start something if there's something else there. You know, we should at least find out and see. But if it's not active, if it's only serving one grouping, then, you know, might say, yes, we have a collaboration, but we still need to pursue what we're talking about here.
Yes.
I want to appreciate the Denton input. But what has been going on over the years is that all these organizations go to meetings, but we as the ordinary producers in the country do not know what's happening, what representation is being made. I do have an input into what is being presented to QUTED or to the CARICOM agriculture representatives on CARICOM. Because what happens is that we continue to go down a route where importation continues to increase. There is not the will to increase local production in our case. And we had that same person that Brother James was talking about, who was the head of who is presently head of CABA. At one point in time, he was the head of the Trinidad and Tobago Agriculture Business Association. And that ended up failing because government didn't give the support it needed. And now we hear about CABA. I am saying that if we have to even start talking to CABA, we need to know exactly how we are going to be represented at these meetings, rather than the processors and so on. We need to know exactly what is their sort of borrowings in terms of agriculture. As James is put aside just now, that some of these organizations basically look at processing and some of the bigger business. Okay, poultry farmers is one of the most organized in all the countries in the Caribbean. But when Caribbean poultry farmers go to a meeting, do they represent the farmers who produce the chicken? The farmers who rear the animals, do they represent that? Caribbean Poultry Association represents their business, and all the other farmers are left behind. So we need to, before we start talking to anybody else, we need to ground ourselves and get all the other islands talking of Caribbean Farmers Association or whatever name, but it must have the word farmers, not producers, not agribusiness, but the farmers. So I'm a farmer. I'm a mini processor. I produce milk and sometimes yogurt and so on. But I am a farmer. I live off of farming. Right? So I need to have my voice in an organization that will represent me at QUTED or CARICOM meetings. If they are going to be with us, they cannot only talk about what they're doing. They have to talk about our farmers. Their farmers also. But the Caribbean poultry farmers is not being represented. The association is being represented.
Let me hear Mr. Lane on that. Mr. Lane, poultry farmers.
Yes, sir. I beg to, I understand what my comrade in Trinidad is saying, but the CPA, as it is known, is an extremely successful and organized grouping. The larger producers, Trinidad, if I may, start in the south, Barbados, Jamaica, I think they're embracing some of the islands now who did not grow poultry for a while, but seeing the necessity to produce poultry as well. They meet often enough. The Secretariat for the CPA, Caribbean Poultry It's very well organized. We contribute financially in Barbados to the CPA, and they do an excellent job of representing the poultry industries in the Caribbean. And what they do is try to protect from imports. I want to bring a different spin on all of this because Mr. Paul, as he said earlier, we in the Caribbean, Antigua, the north, all the way to the south, put a lot of emphasis and a lot of financial resources behind tourism. If you know how much money when bookings are made overseas that really come into these islands, and I think we need to do a study on that. We like to boast about arrivals within the Caribbean, but the reality of it, sir, is that much of the resources and the bookings, the numbers might look pretty in terms of those who land at Grand Adams or Piarco or Norman Malley. E.T. Joshua, not E.T. Joshua anymore. It's the new airport in St. Vincent. E.T. Joshua. Yeah. But the reality of it is, I used to fly in there when it was Arnold Swell. So I'm getting a little bit confused. But the reality of it, though, is that we put a lot of emphasis on these numbers. When we look at food import within the region and foreign exchange save in the region, we need to bring some of these conversations back to agriculture, not only in terms of nutrition and employment, but also in terms of the quality of food and foreign exchange save. But politicians in the Caribbean, and from all the way up in the north in Jamaica right down to Ghana, I don't think that they are really conscious of it because they borrow money to pay for food that come into these regions, and the taxpayers are burdened with paying back all of these borrowed money without understanding that we're depriving farmers of the ability and the security to provide food within our region. We import, recently we've been importing eggs from Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm happy about that. Towards the end of November, we're going to bring in 2 40-foot containers. James and I have made strong arguments that rather than coming from the North America, where we might be exposed to avian influenza in the imports, that we will bring it from a friendly nation like Trinidad and Tobago, even if the cost is a little bit higher. And I think that we in the Caribbean need to look at these matters and trade within ourselves. St. Vincent trade a lot of ground provision into Barbados, but it's a lot of small people, a lot of higglers, as some people like to call them, but they do great service to Barbados in terms of yams, dasheen, eddos, avocado, and other things. And Trinidad benefits. Yes, sir. We do excellent, and we need to protect those. We need to protect those markets, and we need to protect those farmers and recognize the significant role that they're playing in providing food security for this region.
Gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies, I want you to just hold it there for me. We are going to take a break. Just hold it. This is Rebel Radio, and we are on food security. Let us take a break.
It's the Everybody Sale at at new budget supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New budget supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with your super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hard
Jamaica is what built fire, passion and vibes, and through it all there's a glow inside. Let's keep her shine alive.
From the market to the factory floors, from the hillside green to golden shores.
We're reaching heights, our energy that lights the sky. Shine bright, Jamaica. Shine bright, Jamaica. Feel it, feel it. Together we climb. JBS Jamaica. Together we shine.
Shine from the ends, shine with your family, shine with your friends. Light up the streets and make the vibes blend. Yo, JPS and make the shine never end.
Yes, welcome back to Rebel Radio, and we are on food security, talking to our Caribbean colleagues. So far we have not heard Mr. Halford.
I'm right here, man.
Yes. So far, what is your take this week? So far.
Well, as it was in the beginning, my conversations is still along the lines of the network of farmers, farm organizations across the region. I think our last conversation at the other organizations that may exist and what is it they exist to do at the regional level. I would have shared the name of one particular group, I think it's Akari, and we were supposed to do some work there. My organization, the Consortium of Farmers and Food Producers, has registered with that organization entity before. And of course, there's some still desired from that organization. But I believe the ethos, I believe that they are at least attempting to do along the same lines of what these conversations are about. We could disagree on execution. I believe a lot more can be done in terms of promoting and advancing the food producers of the region, the farmers of the region. But nonetheless, they have made some inroads in terms of conversations at the CARICOM level. They have had some recognition, I guess, over the years. But at the end of the day, it is always a good thing that, the organization in St. Kitts and Nevis can connect with an organization in Barbados, can connect with the one in Bahamas, one in Jamaica and Trinidad, and so forth. Because we have similar challenges, and where some of our challenges differ, some of our Caribbean partners, our brothers and sisters, are stronger. So it is prudent an exercise. Even these conversations, I think, are important. But I believe though that some of the sentiments or statements I've heard today, I've heard in so many other platforms and programs before. The question is, what concrete steps are we going to take beyond the conversation in terms of really reaching out and connecting, and who's going to be responsible for what? With a timeline to these things, because time is truly of the essence. I mean, it's every day the farmer out there is struggling, and we really could do with some real capacitating. And so, what are these meetings going to be about going forward is where my concern is going to lay. And I hope that we can have that dialogue with intention or with direct So I'm listening to the department surrounding trade. I'm listening to the issues surrounding investments in agriculture, investments in the farmer. I'm listening to all of the different input being provided. But we're going to have to, at some point, decide when we're going to buckle down and do something beyond the conversation.
So, gentlemen and lady, you heard what Mr. Alford said. And that is something that I think we should focus on. What are the concrete steps that we must take now in order to go forward? So, I think over the last couple of weeks, we have had some substantial discussion. So I think we should focus now what steps we must take in order to get our farmers organized so that we can put forward their interests and get some work done to improve farming in the Caribbean. What are the concrete steps? Shiraz, you want to start us off?
Well, I think first of all we need to try to get some more of the groups come in. At least about eight. We should have about at least 7 or 8 territory within the Caribbean to be part of this, so that we can start to organize in terms of what our objective is, what we need to work toward. When is our next quoted meeting or CARICOM meeting on agriculturalists and so on? How we could present our documents. That's the way we have to go now, and we have been promising to have a Zoom meeting so that we could be able to talk a lot more about what it is we want to do, because the 1 hour here where we have really to discuss more things. In terms of one of the things I would like to see coming up on this thing is some more protection given to the farmers of the Caribbean, right? When I say protection, we need to understand that if it is that the Caribbean in different states, like take for instance Trinidad or Barbados or Jamaica, if we are producing 100 tons of chicken, even though as much as the poultry, we still have imported chicken coming in. Why it is that we cannot say in the next 5 years we want to move from 10% to 20%, and that is one of the reasons why we had to be pushing for it, because the farmers and them need to expand. Farmers need to produce more. We have the technology. We just need the support and the push within the region to produce more.
Yeah. Well, as you
there's one.
Yes.
You know, we have a government agency that should play a developmental role within agriculture in Barbados, but because of how government finances and support for institutions like the Barbados BADFC, Barbados Agricultural Development Corporation, is that they allow them to import poultry into Barbados, mainly from the UK, chicken wings, because they make an excuse that poor people need chicken wings to trade in. They trade like they do in Jamaica, you know, when you go up Hope Road, you can get chicken wings. Real tasty and nice. Yeah. I enjoyed it through that. But the reality of it is that the excuse there is being made that we need to protect that market. The reality of it, sir, is that most of it end up in the big supermarkets because it comes at a reduced price. Poultry imported into Barbados, extra-regional, is supposed to look at a tariff of 184%. Within the region, we have value-added poultry coming in from Jamaica into Barbados, and we within the industry recognize they are brother producers or sister producers, and we don't look at that tariff level because it is coming from within CARICOM and the trade agreements that we have within CARICOM. But extra-regionally, I don't believe, even if a government agency bring it in, that there should be any excuse that there should be low tariffs on it because government need to pay their workers within that organization, which should be playing a developmental role within agriculture, and that organization should be financed solely by government rather than looking to make their own way. If they want to make their own way in trade, support the local agriculture sector, buy yams and potatoes and cassava and the same local poultry that they have outlets that they can sell the local poultry in. But this is the thing that happens within the Caribbean. We put a lot of emphasis, like I said before, on tourism, and we have no problem spending $200 and $300 million every year promoting tourism, even if we lose. We spend money inviting airlines to come into the region, pay a whole lot of money for them. That Dutch airline came in here. I saw it flying into to Trinidad and other places within the region, and then in a short while they disappear. And you know, these are the things that people see, and government think that we are too foolish. I think that the organizations within tourism, within agriculture, need to be strong. But whenever persons like James and I in Barbados, and I'm sure it happens outside in other sectors, they say that you are political, and they try to affiliate you with an opposition party without recognizing that you're protecting workers in Barbados. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Dr. Thomas. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I like what I'm hearing. You see, and I want to say that for a very long time, efforts have been made by various levels of officialdom in the Caribbean to recognize the importance of producing the foods that's needed to protect our nutrition in our region. But what happens, this conversation I'm hearing leads me back to what the objective of this carver was to be.
Yes.
Many of you farmers are young people, so you wouldn't understand the role that I had played in the agriculture part in the region. But 40 years ago, I was a senior agricultural officer in Barbados. And some of the issues that are raised by my colleagues from Barbados now were from the time when I was there. They still remain.
No, can you imagine that?
Okay?
Yes.
Still remain.
Yeah, I agree. I understand.
I was responsible at one time for the whole matter relating to conformity assessment and standardization of our agricultural produce in the region. And I must tell you that each country that produces its goods, its agricultural produce, jealously guarded what they produce, to the point where they take steps to interrupt the free movement of produce between the individual islands. We decided that at that time that we want to break down these technical barriers. And the matter of development of the standards that would set the stage for trade, uninterrupted trade in the region. And that took place through what we call COSQ. I don't know if many persons remember that. The CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality. And pursuant to the objectives, we decided to develop standards for root and tuber crops, pulses and grains, aromatics and herb crops, and so as to ensure that there's free movement between among the countries in the region. And in so doing, our standards will determine what competition we can have from outside. Without these standards, we cannot impose any barrier on other persons coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the things that we did, but I did not hear them being moved forward. Even through Kaba, and even while I took a comfortable seat at the Farm Boys Quartet, I didn't get the feeling that there were any concerted efforts to capitalize on the use of conformity assessment standardization to protect what we have locally.
Yes.
When I used to go to the Farm Boys Quartet, the Kaba and the others represented big businesses in agriculture. Yeah. Rice. When the rice men come, everybody keeps silent. When the poultry men come, everybody keeps silent. Because these guys speak for everybody. When we were developing the standards for poultry products in the Caribbean, and the standards for poultry, for eggs in the Caribbean, no small farmer's voice were heard. It was a big voice.
Yes.
Say that. And I'm here to tell you, I was in the belly of the beast. And I know what exists and what needs to be done. When the Jagdeo Egg Initiative was presented to CARICOM in those days, the voices of the small farmers were not heard. It was a big voice. So this organization, this initiative that is put on the table right now, I believe it has a far way to go. We have enough food on the table to organize it in a way that it becomes palatable and nutritious for all the farmers.
Wonderfully said.
So, Mr. Richards, at one time I said I would stay on the bench and watch this organization grow, but I will commit myself to participating with you and the group of the farmers here to see what we can do. I also served in Montserrat as a senior agricultural officer too. I was in the Bahamas developing the Agricultural and Marine Science Institute. So I have a clear understanding of how these agricultural issues are and the neglect. The small farmers neglect.
Yes.
Mr. Richards, let me congratulate the last speaker on his presentation. I had the privilege of going into St. Kitts, and they had a situation in which Cardi worked, and I think that we forget a very important Caribbean agriculture institution called Cardi, and we had some good leadership within Cardi, based in Trinidad and Tobago and St. Kitts. And I'm going very short here because I realize we ran over time. You know, St. Kitts produce some of the best onions within this region.
No,
St. Kitts farmers
and the Bahamas, and the Bahamas too.
And the Bahamas, I know.
Yes, and the Bahamas, yes.
Yeah, but St. Kitts produce excellent onions without trickle irrigation and all of that, or because they produce it with terracing on the slope of mountains. Well, when you compare to Jamaica, they're not really mountains, but you know, on steep slope. St. Kitts produce excellent the export sector within that island and agriculture and food security within the region. I just wanted to say that Cardi played a great role in protecting that sector after infestation of that bug that prevented trade within the region for a while. Name don't come to me right now, but it's a pest. It's a pest that went through the region that we had to mitigate against by bringing in natural predators to deal with it.
Brother and sister, I totally agree with that, because earlier when I said that some states in the region have excellent production going on, and I think that is what we need to get information on the table also. Just as how he said, I don't know about that, right? But he knows. But what I'm saying is that within the region, everybody has a still extent production going on in some fields. I think that is what we need to bring here and work with it and insisting on our region. Take onions from St. Kitts and Bahamas, rather than bringing it out from other places using US dollars when we could be using our local currency of exchange and EDEC dollar and go forward.
Thank you so much for that.
I'm just, Mr. Desmond, let me refer. I was talking about the pink mealybug. I don't know how many of you remember that, where we had the cut.
Yeah, we had that. We had that problem. But Bahamas, I need to come and see. I need to come to Bahamas and see that onion production, brother.
Yes, Andrews. Yes.
Yes. So, gentlemen, Mr. Paul.
Yes, sir.
What would you, going forward now, right? What are some of the concrete steps we should take?
Well, I really think that internally in this country, we need to have real consultation with farmers in terms of the issues, what they see as a priority. And in that way, when we represent at the national level, we represent what they see as the real issues. And we should not, you see, one of the other issues I find that we get diverted very quickly. Because, all kinds of politicians who ever come in and they come up with these grand schemes, but it does not meet the immediate needs of the farmer. But only, as I say, he who feels it knows it. So if, for instance, the problems are pests, what type of pests? What do you need to do? Because these are the only way you can sort of make the farming sustainable is by tackling the real production issues that farmers are facing. And then you get an impetus for other people to come into the sector and be part of that viable community. And that has to happen in every country. So what we need to do is to have a series of consultations, right, with farmers in the country, not just, and I'm not talking about being sponsored by the Ministry of Agriculture, but maybe we need to have the farmers themselves in their groupings or get together and sit down and look at themselves anybody else is different. But these are our priorities and this is what we would like to see. And if that starts to happen in every country, you will see from there the real programs that should be done, the real needs will come into focus. And I think that is what, in fact, the BAS right now, our AGM is in October this year, as normal. And one of the things that we actually do before the AGM is to have those type of consultations with the farmers to see what are the priority needs. And those are the things that will drive our program for the next year. But besides driving our program at the level of Barbados, we want to have similar steps that will drive the program also at the regional level.
Gentlemen, I just want to ask a quick question. I just want to ask a quick question here. Is your farming community, is it aged? Like in our case, our average age is 65, 70 years old, and aging, 80% of the farmers, in your communities have suffered the same thing.
But hold on a minute. But guys, age is just a number. Age is just a number. It does not mean.
I said an average, brother.
But hold on. Listen to the point I'm trying to make. The argument of age has always been used to diminish the importance and the relevance of the agricultural sector. Let's face it, most farmers in most countries are aging. Okay, because you don't start out young with land, right? It takes time to buy land in
Wow.
So I beg to understand where you're going with this. But we have to show young people the opportunity in agriculture.
Yeah, I don't know.
We need to show them that there are real opportunities in there so they don't get into other devious behavior or get into other activities that don't support the economy and their families. And I agree with you, we need to demonstrate to young people that there's real opportunities in agriculture.
Oh, Mr.
Sorry, Desmond.
Yes.
Hello,
yes.
I'm still here.
Yes, Miss Denton.
Yeah, Maureen.
Yes.
How much time do we have left on this call?
Well, we have this. What I am going to ask each member of the group now is for their final comment, because we have exhausted our time. So, Maureen, you want to, yes, Maureen, you want to make you have 40 seconds to make for your final. Each member have 40 seconds to make their final comment.
I will give my Maureen, take my 40. Maureen, take my 40. I will step down.
Maureen will also take my 40.
Okay. No, so I'm just saying, I think all of us on this call are aware of the concerns, the issues, etc. And I think the question was asked, what is going to be the next step? How are we going to proceed? What is our focus? Clearly, I think there is an agreement that the voice of the farmers, vis-a-vis even processors, need to be heard.
I need somebody to call a taxi for me.
So obviously the focus is going to, at least to start out with, is in terms of farmers. So I think we need to do a couple of things. One is we need to get representation from all the different islands on this initiative. Two, we need to set it up. I don't think we need a long, drawn-out thing in terms of what are the priorities and the issues in the countries, because to me, from experience, a lot of them, we sort of know them, are very similar. So I think I heard somebody mention that apart from the radio thing, we probably just need to have an hour and a half or two of a Zoom call, come together, iron out exactly how we're going to move forward, so we don't spend a lot of time talking and just raising the issues and not agreeing concretely what are the things. I think there's no doubt everybody here, regardless of what organizations exist out there, there's nothing to prevent this initiative starting and trying to work and do something, right? Because clearly there is a need for it, and clearly farmers are not being represented enough. So next steps for next meeting is to get representations from all the different countries. Two, for us to rough out an agenda or a sort of terms of reference as to what it is our objective, what is it that we plan to do, and to just map out briefly how we plan to do that. And then we should set up a meeting for about an hour and a half, two, so that we can really track out and put a framework in place in terms of how we're going to move forward. We're going to have to rely a lot on the representatives from each country, or the representatives from each country, to provide the information both in terms of the other organizations that exist in the country and in terms of the issues and so forth, right? Okay. But I think the next meeting needs to be a planning meeting.
We have one of the things that, remember, we are all of us are in this group, the Caribbean farmers, and we can communicate in this group, right? This WhatsApp group here. It is just the members, the existing members who are in this group, so we can talk to each other, right? Mr. Halford, Mr. Halford, you want to say something?
Not necessarily. We started in the session prior discussing about looking at other organizations and what they're doing across the region in this regard.
Okay.
I think also to add to what Ms. Denton is indicating here, that this must be part of the discussion as well in that hour and a half session. Because duplicate is one of the things that we seem to become conflicts of over time. So I would like to see that we are looking at these organizations, that they do exist, what role are they performing within the same space, and to see whether we just need to create something new, or we need to dovetail into what exists, and go from there.
Okay, so as I said, we can communicate with each other in Caribbean farmers. I want to thank you very, very much for your time this afternoon. Yes, and as you know, to be continued. So we will continue our discussion. Thanks very much. That was.
Take care. Thanks very much. Nice meeting you guys. Take care.
That was food security. There are weekly discussion on food security in the Caribbean. And thanks to our participants this evening, Mr. Shiraz Khan, Maureen Denton, James Paul, Meshat Halford, Dr. Omir Thomas, and Stephen Lane. This is Rebel Radio. Let us take a break.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with your super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
Passion and vibes, and through it all there's a glow inside. Let's keep her shine alive.
From the market to the factory floors, from the hillside green to golden shores,
we're reaching heights, energy that lights the sky. Shine bright, Jamaica. Shine bright, Jamaica. Feel it, feel it. Together we climb. JBS Jamaica. Together we shine.
Shine for the ends, shine with your family, shine with your friends. Light up the streets and make the vibes blend. Your JPS and make the shine never end.
Imagine a world where information is power, where news meets insight. This is Eyes on the World, your personal lens. We are watching with you. Stay informed, stay curious, get the world's stories reported to you. Eyes on the World, your perspective.
Yes, yes. It's time for our program, Eyes on the World. Yes, and as this is where we, at Rebel Radio, we spend some time looking at what is happening, you know, to our people around the world. And, you know, we continue to tell you about what is happening in Gaza and other places where people are suffering. Okay, let's take a look now at some of those events.
This is Anas al-Sharif, killed on Sunday night in an Israeli airstrike. He was 28 years old. He was a correspondent for Al Jazeera Arabic, and he was a household name across the Middle East because of his reporting and his huge social media profile. Killed alongside him, his Al Jazeera colleagues, reporter Mohammed Kreker, camera operators Ibrahim Zahir and Moamin Aliwa, and the crew driver Mohammed Nufal. The IDF says that al-Sharif was a terrorist posing as a journalist and ran a Hamas-guided rockets platoon and have provided documents which they say prove his Hamas affiliation. They've given no reason, though, for killing his colleagues or the two other victims of that airstrike, which targeted the tent they lived in and broadcast from, just outside the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza City.
We've yet to see any credible evidence from the Israeli military that Anas was a Hamas operative. They've been making this claim for many, many months, most recently in the last couple of weeks, following a report that Anas did on starvation in Gaza, in which he cried on air. And after that, we saw an uptick in the accusations by the Israeli military, and we, in fact, issued a statement saying that we feared for his life, and unfortunately, that's what has happened.
This was a targeted attack on one of the most prominent voices in Gaza. Al-Sharif had a huge following since the early days of the war, when he'd stayed in the north and Gaza City when many, many others had chosen to leave. He was a voice, really, for Gaza City. And now that voice has been silenced just as Israel prepares to take the city over. His funeral is a chilling moment for journalists in Gaza and the stories they're telling. People here feel that their voices aren't heard. They don't know that the world is listening, or if it is. And if it is, they're not seeing the consequences. They knew that Al-Sharif and Kreker and their team were telling the world what was happening, and now they are dead. 5 more to add to the 186 media workers already killed in Gaza since October the 7th.
This is Al Jazeera breaking news just coming out. Sad breaking news out of Gaza, where Al Jazeera journalist Anas al-Sharif has just been killed in what appears to be a targeted Israeli strike. All of this according to the director of the Al-Shifa hospital. Anas was killed after a tent for journalists was hit outside the main gate of the hospital. The well-known Al Jazeera correspondent reported extensively from northern Gaza. The 28-year-old was a key source of news from Gaza City and the north for international audiences since Israel's war on the Strip began some 22 months ago.
I think what's happening in Gaza is utterly appalling. I think Netanyahu has gone way too far. I think he has lost the plot, and I think that what we're seeing overnight with the attack on Gaza City is utterly unacceptable, and that's what we have been calling for as an international community now for a long period of time. He is not listening to the international community, and that is unacceptable.
Never have the courage to do what I did last Thursday. The Western media called me another African dictator making empty threats. Israeli intelligence dismissed me as a young soldier playing politics. Even some of my own advisors whispered I was moving too fast, too hard, too dangerously. They were all wrong, because while they were busy underestimating me, I was busy dismantling their entire shadow network across my continent. And what I'm about to tell you isn't just what happened in Burkina Faso. It's the blueprint for how Africa finally stops being the world's playground. My name is Ibrahim Traoré, And this is the story of how I declared war on Benjamin Netanyahu's African empire. Let me start with something they don't want you to know. For the past 15 years, while African leaders were signing development deals and shaking hands for photo ops, Netanyahu was building something else entirely. A spider web of intelligence operations, data harvesting companies, and surveillance networks that stretched from Lagos to Nairobi. They thought we were too poor to notice, too desperate to say no, too divided to fight back. I noticed everything. Do you want to know what really triggered last Thursday's operation? 3 weeks ago, my intelligence chief walked into my office with a folder. Inside were communication intercepts, financial records, and satellite imagery that made my blood run cold. Israeli-backed companies weren't just doing business in Burkina Faso. They were mapping our mineral deposits with military precision, recording our political meetings through compromised telecommunications, tracking the movement of our citizens through facial recognition systems we never agreed to install. But here's the part that made me realize we were past the point of diplomacy. They were sharing this intelligence with multinational corporations to help them extract better deals from African governments. Our own data was being used to exploit us more efficiently. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my office until dawn, and I made a decision that would change everything. I called my military commanders at 5 in the morning. Operation Clear Sight begins in 2 hours, I told them. No leaks, no delays, no mercy. At exactly 7 a.m., while most of Ouagadougou was still waking up, my forces moved simultaneously on 17 different targets across the city. The first location was a telecommunications company on the eastern edge of town. From the outside, it looked like any other office building. Clean glass windows, corporate logo, employees arriving for another normal day at work, except nothing about this company was normal. My soldiers entered without announcing themselves. What they found inside made international headlines within hours, though most media outlets refused to report the full story. Rooms filled with server equipment powerful enough to monitor the communications of half the continent. Hard drives containing personal data of over 2 million Burkinabe citizens. Encrypted phones with direct lines to Tel Aviv intelligence offices, and documents, thousands of documents, detailing how our national security was being systematically compromised. But that was just the beginning. By 9 a.m., we had raided 6 more Israeli-linked operations. Not just businesses, understand. These were sophisticated intelligence gathering posts disguised as development organizations, technology companies, and humanitarian groups. At each location, the same pattern emerged: equipment designed for mass surveillance, data belonging to African citizens being prepared for transfer to foreign servers, communication systems that bypassed our national security protocols entirely. The evidence was overwhelming, but I knew evidence alone wouldn't be enough. The world needed to see action. At noon, I walked in front of the cameras, and I said something that I had been preparing to say for months. Africa is no longer your laboratory. We are no longer your test subjects, and we are definitely no longer your...
So the real reason why they killed Gaddafi is he wanted to have a currency for Africa, and he wanted Africa to unite against the exploitations of the Western world, so they had to kill him. So there's a new guy trying to do that in Africa right now. So guess what is going to happen to him? They're going to...
I know, I love this guy too. I think it's great he's doing that. But
so Burkina Faso President Ibrahim Traoré, is that how you say it, announces a bold plan to unite the African continent under one system. He wants to create a United States of Africa where all African countries will come together as one. There will be one government system, one currency allowed called Afro money, and one African passport. All Africans will be able to travel freely without visas. He also said the wealth of Africa should be shared equally among all countries so no one is left behind. That's why they everybody. That's why they got rid of the guy Mossadegh when he was running Iran in 1954 because he wanted to keep the oil profits for their own people. Immediately the CIA overthrew him.
Some have spoken and still are, but it must echo louder. What's hidden in Africa must be seen, must be heard, and must be changed. Let's make this message feel more down to earth. The world needs to see it.
They are dying, and we call it too far to care. Congo is bleeding, not metaphorically, literally. The ground is soaked in the blood of children mining kobo so can charge our phone. You hold their pain in your pocket, you scroll through it and then scroll past it. Their childhoods ends in tunnels, not cartoons, not birthdays, just black dust and breaking backs. We don't look because the world doesn't teach us to care when black kids suffer quietly. And in Sudan, families run from fire with babies strapped to their backs and nothing in their hands. Cities burn, fathers vanish, mothers dig graves with their bare hands because no one's coming. And we post filters, we chase trends, we cry for things the world tell us are worth crying for. And not this, not them, not Congo, not Sudan. That's the most dangerous part. Not the war, not the bomb, but the silence. Silence is what genocide sounds like. It doesn't scream, it doesn't explode, it disappears. And we hope it vanish every time we say nothing. But this time, we say something. We speak, we scream, we flood the silence with truth. Because these lives are not less, they're not numbers, they're not shadows, they are humans. They're scared, and they are ours. Speak, share, refuse to look away. Congo is bleeding, Sudan is burning.
Everybody knows about Ukraine. Everybody knows about Gaza. Everybody knows about these other areas that are in conflict. This place is unknown. It's kind of a very quiet famine.
At the malnutrition ward here at the Mother of Mercy Hospital, there are 2 or 3 times the number of patients they would normally expect at this time of year. They are kept in for 2 or 3 weeks at least, given emergency food and medicines if they need it.
So it's this block here, and we have overflows back there.
This whole section?
This whole wing is malnutrition, and that goes back into the back section.
Your fear is that this year will be very bad?
Last year was terrible. I think we as bad as last year. My take is I think a lot of people did not cultivate. Is that right, Steve? And they were using, I think people that had seed from the previous year, instead of using that seed to plant, they were desperate, so they ate the seed. I've been here now, it'll be 17 years soon. This is by far the worst it's been in all the time I've been here. Even through, we had terrible civil war here for 5-6 years. Worse than that time then, in terms of food insecurity.
This is very much an unreported world, an unreported war, and a country in which more and more people are facing famine. Given how long you've been here, what would you say about the level of need?
We've got tremendous needs here, and we don't have big organizations coming to help. I mean, it's neglected.
Comrades, brothers and sisters, I am addressing you as the president for the Barbados-Cuba Friendship Association, and we want to celebrate with you the 99th birthday of Commander Fidel Castro with you. And because of that, our association is issuing a public statement to express our honest and honorable feelings in relation to the world celebration for Commander-in-Chief Fidel Castro. Let me say that Fidel would have led a revolution in Cuba that was successful on the 1st of January 1959. This revolution would have come about after many struggles in the Americas for our liberation. We had the indigenous people struggling, we had the enslaved struggling, and there were many rebellions in our region. And then we saw the first independent nation in the Americas, which was Haiti, after defeating the French. So the Cuban Revolution came immediately after many struggles in the 1940s and 50s, in our region. The Cuban Revolution is not only a revolution for the Cuban people, but the Cuban Revolution demonstrates its responsibility for humanity and supported many people's struggles across this earth, to the extent that Cuba played a major role in the liberation struggle in Africa, especially in Southern Africa, that created the conditions for many countries in that region to gain its freedom and independence. For instance, Namibia, South Africa, and Cuba would have organized many academic scholarships for our people in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in North America, in Latin America, and in the Caribbean, so that poor people can travel to Cuba as international students, free of cost, for many years, so that they can assist with the development in their country. Cuba have also assisted the world in the area of medicine with many medical programs that have saved many lives in this world. All of this is because of the great leadership of Commander-in-Chief Fidel Castro. Our movement today will celebrate Fidel's contribution, and we will honor his work, and we look forward to his spirit continuing and guiding us as revolutionaries in today's world. I also want to use this opportunity to thank the heroes of the Cuban Revolution that is responsible for many of this international work that have benefited the poor of the world. And I want to go further. Those heroes of Cuba during the COVID-19 period saved many lives in this world, especially among the poor and powerless people of the world. And I know that the heroes of the Cuban Revolution are standing on Fidel's shoulders as honorable men and women that must be respected. And even though Cuba go through some level of serious economic problems coming from that political and economic embargo by the United States of Cuba against Cuba, the Cuban people continue to extend their international solidarity. And whatever they have, they share it with the world poor people. And today, my brothers and sisters, the Barbados Cuban Friendship Association honor and respect those heroes of Cuba who are fighting to construct international solidarity with our people. and that are saving many lives, that are educating many people in the world that who would not have had the opportunity. My brothers and sisters, Cuba is an important nation. And I want to end by saying thanks to those heroes in Cuba that stand on the shoulders of Commander Fidel Castro for your solidarity and support for the call for reparations for African people. Long live the Cuban Revolution. Long live the unity between Cuba and the Caribbean. Forward ever, backward never. Thank you, my brothers and sisters.
Yes. Yes, those are some of the videos we show you this week on our program, Eyes on the World. Yes. And the highlight of this week's program is the attack, the killing, the slaughtering of 5 journalists. Yes. And we at Rebel Radio continue to highlight our and to protest the killing of our colleagues. I have with me now Aleme Ayobe, yes, for us to talk about what is happening in Gaza. Aleme, hello.
Hi Desmond, how are you?
Well, I am supposed to be fine.
Yes.
What?
Thank you for having me again. Thank you for having me again on your program.
Yes, of course. And so far, what do you have any? What is the latest from Gaza? What is the latest you have from the situation in Gaza?
So I heard you mention just now the assassination of 5 journalists, and one of them was one of the most prominent voices in Gaza, Anas al-Sharif. And his assassination basically was the purpose of it, of course, intentional, targeted assassination. There was a video explaining how this is done. It was not an airstrike, it was a targeted missile, like a launch that specifically targeted their tent. Basically, only their tent was destroyed, and he was murdered along with 4 other of his colleagues. And this was done, of course, every time that they target journalists, which is, again, targeting journalists is against international law. They do it so that they can continue with the evil that they are doing, which is in recent days, since that happened 2 days ago, intensifying the bombing that has been happening, and also intensifying to proceed with occupying Gaza. And so they target journalists so that they are not able to show the world the truth of what is happening. So I heard you mention that as well, because yes, what you said, Desmond, is true. This is what all journalists, everyone who works in media, everyone who works in journalism, this is something that they should be, this is how they should be referring to this, because they are your colleagues. So we call on all members of the press, all journalists around the world to speak up for what has happened, and demand that the larger mainstream media presents what is happening to the world so that they are aware, because if they don't start showing it, again, not everyone will be aware of what is happening.
Yes, of course. I am in total agreement with you. Yes. And do I know that in the last couple of weeks there were some reports that the Israelis had opened up the the gates to allow more aid trucks to come in. Do you know if, but I know that some trucks were allowed in, but the food was still not reaching the people.
Yes, that's right. Even if they let the trucks in, the food doesn't always reach the people. And I saw this morning, I wasn't able to verify before your call, but I saw someone had posted just today that they actually blocked aid from entering Gaza. So the opposite. But that being said, even if they do let a couple of trucks in, it's not enough. It's not enough for what is needed, and it doesn't reach the people who need them. Besides that, there's also, they have armed thugs that they have there, that they recruit to steal, sell them at ridiculously high, exorbitant prices. So in any case, whatever they are saying, it's not enough. It's enough aid is not entering Gaza, and there have been countries, some European countries, that have been doing aid drops from airplanes. There have been many, many calls from people on the ground in Gaza, many voices from the ground saying that this is not what we need. That we need the borders to open. Some European countries, they appease us with saying that they are dropping aid. One, the aid is not enough. Aid drops are not enough. Two, they are dangerous. There have been people losing their lives because the aid drops fall on them as they are landing.
Yes.
And three, it is their right to receive the aid that is behind the borders. So we do not respect the countries that are sending aid drops because they are trying to, quote unquote, give the minimum effort possible when they should actually be sanctioning Israel and demanding that they open the border. That is what we demand. And the people around the world are demanding that the border be open and that countries put sanctions on Israel to make this happen.
Yes. And the other thing that we observe, you must have seen this report where the Israelis are planning to annex, to take over Gaza. And
that's right.
I see where there has been several protests from around the world to this move, but from all indications, it would appear as if the Israelis are going to go ahead and capture Gaza.
Yes, that is their plan. They had announced it. The government itself had announced that they plan to occupy Gaza, with the excuse that if they occupy Gaza, they would be able to be able to approach and reach a solution to eliminate Hamas. That is their supposed excuse for doing that if they occupy it. And of course, we are used to their excuses, and they always have something that they say to justify what they're doing. Nothing they say could ever justify what they are doing. But they use the excuse that if they are there, they'd be able to target and eliminate Hamas because they will be there. And I have to say, that being said, for all the people who keep mentioning the hostages, and I pose that question to the people who are always referring and defending and justifying, saying that they say that Hamas has to release the hostages. Well, we can clearly tell by now that Netanyahu doesn't care about the hostages, because what he is doing, his actions show that the lives of the hostages don't matter, because he's endangering their lives. So it is very clear by now, and people should be focusing on the fact that this is intentional. The purpose has always been occupation, and the purpose has always been to occupy Gaza. That is why we are where we are.
Yes. So as we speak, the atrocities continue, and the people are being killed and starved, and
yes.
And
not to mention the fact also, Desmond, that in the past 2 days, it has been reported, the weather forecast, there has been extreme heat, very, very high temperatures. Our friends on the ground have been telling us that they have to work, especially those who have to continue with their daily lives and work. For example, doctors or people who have to go about their regular lives as much as possible. They have to do this under extreme heat. We're talking about temperatures of around 40 degrees, if not more. And you have to remember that they don't have clean water available. So, you have to consider perspiration, you're sweating, it's hot, you cannot hydrate. This brings about a whole other plethora of issues because there's no clean water available. Because, again, they have blocked all sorts of fuels, resources, everything is blocked.
Yes. And, we continue to ask or to remind our Caribbean governments that they should think or they should take immediate action now to sever relations, both diplomatic and trade relations with Haiti. So far, we have not seen any indication from our Caribbean governments that they are going to do that. But we continue to urge them to do so.
Right.
Yes. Have you from the wider international community, have you seen any signs where any of the Western countries, are going to take some action against Israel? Have you seen any signs of that?
I was just telling someone a few moments ago that a lot of people mentioned that there are a lot of European countries that are planning to recognize Palestine as a state. And we have to be realistic about this approach, although theoretically it is definitely a move. It's something compared to recent history that, for example, countries like France and other countries have said that they are going to recognize Palestine as a state. However, where we are right now, it's urgent, it's dire, it's imminent. And recognizing the state of Palestine without a plan of action, without a plan of sanction, and consequences for Israel is not really going to do anything. It's a way to show the world that they are trying to stand up for Palestine, but they're not actually taking concrete measures to do so. So it's one thing to say a lot of things, but it's a whole other thing to actually do it. So in that regard, yes, there are, Western countries or in that sense, international countries that plan to recognize Palestine as a state, which is, compared to recent history and what has been done, it is a big move because they haven't recognized Palestine before, but it's not enough for what we need right now. What Gaza needs right now is action.
Yes, certainly, definitely. Want some actions down there. And, Aleme, one of the things that I spoke about on this station and something that, to be honest, I must say that I don't understand. And what I'm talking about the actions from the Arab countries so far. I have not seen them moving in a direction to assist their brothers in Palestine. Do you know?
Yes, I remember mentioning. Yes, I mentioned this to you, and I was in Lebanon as well. As a Middle Eastern, an Arab person, it is extremely disappointing that our countries have chosen to side with and support the Zionists. They will say a lot on camera. They will, condemn the actions of Israel, but they actually will not do anything, concrete measures to support their brothers. In fact, they actually invest in, and I believe there was a deal, I can't remember right now at the moment, with Egypt, between Israel and Egypt, not so recent, that has to do with, I believe it was natural gas. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I read it somewhere. So they actually, instead of supporting their brothers, they actually are in business with Israel, which is unbelievable, like you said, that they are actually siding with the enemy of their brothers.
Yes, totally unacceptable. Well,
totally
yes, we have to continue, to press along and to keep these issues on the front table, because what we are seeing the slaughtering of human beings every day. And
yes, more and more people have been also dying of starvation, which is an incredibly cruel form of death, and it's been more frequent now, seeing that there is less food available. So more and more have been dying of starvation, and also given the fact that there's no water and they dehydrate. There's issues with dehydration, kidney failure because there's not enough water. Many medical issues that could normally be solved, with proper medication, are now, becoming life-threatening issues because there's no medication and there's no clean water. So these are all things, along with the constant bombardment, that it's unacceptable, and that this is happening in our time.
Yes, Alemi. Well, we have to just continue to press along, as I say, and I want to thank you very much for your time this afternoon, and keep safe while we continue to press along on behalf of the Palestinian people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Desmond, and thank you for always having this segment of your show focused on Palestine, and you always keep it in the forefront. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Well, that's the end of Eyes on the World for today. And as I said, we will continue to keep these issues on the front table. This is Rebel Radio.
Imagine a world where information is power, where news meets insight. This is Eyes on the World, your personal lens. We are watching with you. Stay informed, stay curious, get the world's stories reported to you. Eyes on the World, your perspective.
You know. Yes. Well, it's time for us to present to you now some the world of sports and entertainment, what is happening in the world of sports and entertainment. Now over to Kingsley J.J. McCullough.
Good afternoon, listeners and fans. Yes, here in Kingston, Jamaica, World of Sports and Entertainment. Yes, it's here to give you a brief on what is coming out, what is happening here in Jamaica and in the world. On the horizon now, with a month away from the World Championship, it's athletics, yes. And Jamaicans some of them are looking so promising and going through some races that I've done in Hungary and other meets across the world. Notably, new sensation sprint Bayern level has become the third fastest Jamaican over the 200-meter lap. There's a recently run of 19.69, winning that 200 meters there At a meet, yes, and we are looking at these chances. When it's gonna size up with Bednarik, Noah Lyles, and Thibogo, and he's knocking hard on the door right there to be a medalist when it comes to 200 meters, not to just participate. On the other hand, Christopher Taylor hasn't made the qualifying mark, so too as Roisin McDonald was not find the time for the qualifying to be qualified for the World Championship. Ashanti Moore did a personal best, lowering her time to 22.31 in the 200 meters by winning there at the meet also. And in the 100 meters, she won the race in one of the twins, yes, and she won there, beating all three Jamaicans, Tina Clayton, Sharika Jackson, and Shelley and Britt Fraser Price in that order respectively. And offloading at this time in preparation to in a month's time for the World Championship. I know that Jamaicans are really fine-tuning their runs, and they have still another meet to come where they are going to try and qualify for one of the relays, that is the mixed relay and the 4x4 there. So the athletes are very busy on the circuit doing so. Right, I'm taking close note of Jamaican performances, and even those that were with Jamaica, we're going to still note their performances as well, that were running for other countries, like in Turkey. We're going to take note of them also. So for that and more, you're going to just listen on World of Sports and Entertainment this Friday for more on the Jamaican athletes representing other countries and representing the Jamaican at the World Championship in Osaka, Japan, coming up next month. All right.
JJ, do you have any word on the funeral for that footballer there? Footballer.
Which a footballer?
Yeah.
I haven't got that in my book. No, I don't get any information on that at this time.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But I got something for Alan Park. His thing is coming up in month end, right? And I haven't heard anything for the Farmer Greskin and the CEO yet, Don Webby, which is something that is supposed to be released in the media when it is going to be for former Senator Don Webby. Yes. So we're going to have, I think we're going to have some information on that on Friday, which I'm going to research to know more about these Thanksgiving service or funeral that's come up sometime soon, and persons are watching what things they are doing, because I know that election is in the year and you have to know when you're going to move about and places in Jamaica, because we are in the atmosphere of election and you don't want to take any chances of going places and doing things, seeing how charged up it is at this time of the year. Yes. All right. And what else? The English Premier League that everyone is waiting for is coming up this weekend. And when you look at the teams having their preparation, everyone is talking about this Chelsea team looking awesome after they have defeated PSG in the Club World Cup to lift the English Premier League this season from Manchester City, Liverpool, and Arsenal in that order. Nobody don't give Manchester United any chance, despite they are not playing any European football. We'll wait and see when that begins on Friday through to Sunday. This Sunday, again, it's something for Marcus Garvey. I think some event is coming up that is going to be at White River in Ocherius. I don't have much detail, but I get subsequent details of that event in Ocherius. I think it's White River Park with Marcus Garvey thing there. Yes.
Yes.
So basically that and more
Garvey's birthday.
The Garvey thing.
Garvey's birthday will be on the 17th.
Okay, yes. So we're looking at that, and a lot of things are coming up. There's something happening at Caymanas Park where the jockeys are concerned that when anything happens to them now, and the doctor said that you're not supposed to ride it. What Caymanas Park stepped in and did know that even if the jockey says okay, they are not allowing them to take up any rides because of what previous experience has taught them with a jockey who said that he was okay, and then he had a stroke when he tried to ride again, and they have learned from that. So Clovis Metcalf and the authorities them said anytime a jockey have a spill, no matter how simple it is, that jockey is not gonna ride for the rest of the day until he can produce a medical certificate. You can take up that with Dr. Paul Wright and Will Shooter about that, what they think when they enforce that rule on the reigning champion jockey Radish Roman. So it's something you can ask Dr. Paul Wright what he think about that when you talk to him on Friday.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Yes, other matters which is not sport, I can tell you. It is of concern because it concerns us. Public sector is getting raging because of things not coming true for us, not for them. And everything is on hold at the finance. Trust me, it's not pretty, Mr. Richard. It's something that everybody's talking about going into an election, and nobody is getting. We don't know what is going to happen before or after the election with the negotiations, and it is something that is really everyone is talking about. Not only where I am, but other ministry as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. You can look at it at workers' time to let you know what is really happening on the ground in these spaces and what they're expecting. Persons are talking about back to school and there's no money. Nothing at all. It's just like everything was put on hold for the election, and normally people are looking after to get things ready for back to school, and they're in the worst position going into back to school with money owed to them. All of that is what is being talked about differently.
Yes, I can well imagine what you're talking about. So is that workers you are saying they're a bit restive?
Yes, it's not all at my place, I can tell you. I've heard it, and I know Mr. Ennis was trying to call me today when I called him, but I didn't get him because he was very busy having meetings, and he said that he's in the middle of negotiation and don't know what's going to happen with the wage negotiation, and because it came out like a stalemate because they didn't want to give him what he asked for. It's really in the balance at this time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
I can.
It's something you can look into for workers' time and to know what's happening in the public sector right now.
Okay, we will talk about it on Friday and talk about.
Yeah, this and more on Friday. Yes, okay. We can assure you that you can get some more details on it. Yeah.
Okay. Want to thank you very much, J. Makala. So until Friday, you have a good day. Yes. Well, that is the end of today's show. Yes. I want to thank all my listeners and the viewers, yes, for taking time out to be with us today. And today is the birthday of late Caribbean leader, a Cuban revolutionary, yes, Fidel Castro. Yes. Long live Fidel. Okay, as usual, I am urging the users, pedestrians, riders, and drivers, take it easy on our roads. Too many casualties, fatalities so far this year. Do whatever you can to just slow it down. Yes, slow it down. And remember to take care of yourselves out there. The homicide, the murder numbers are down, and we are grateful for that, but vicious gunmen are still out there killing people. Yes. So you take care until Wednesday. I mean Friday. Yes, today is Wednesday. So until Friday, this is Rebel Radio, and I'm Desmond Richards.
Everybody sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with their super savings summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hard
Jamaica is what built fire, passion and vibes, and through it all there's a glow inside. Let's keep her shine alive.
From the market to the factory floors, from the hillside green to golden shores,
we're reaching heights, energy that lights the sky. Shine bright, Jamaica. Shine bright, Jamaica.